Adam Steele gritted his teeth as two towering alien guards shoved him forward, their scaled hands like iron against his shoulders. The metallic floor of the Altarian detention hall sent a chill through his knees when he hit the ground. Energy cuffs bit into his wrists, crackling faintly as they kept him bound. "Reconnaissance Specialist Adam Steele of Earth," announced the silver-eyed official presiding over his fate. "You stand accused of unauthorized entry into restricted Altarian territory, espionage against the Dominion, and violation of Interspecies Code 5591. Adam said nothing. His jaw was set, his pulse thudding in his ears. What was supposed to be a quiet recon mission had turned into a diplomatic disaster. His stealth craft had malfunctioned just outside the orbit of Altar 4, and now here he was, kneeling before an alien tribunal with no backup and no way out. "The penalty," continued the official, voice echoing across the high chamber, "is death by neural dissolution." Adam's heart slammed against his ribs. Neural dissolution, total erasure of body and mind. He'd read the reports. It was said to be painless but permanent. Then the alien added, almost casually, or at the Dominion's discretion, permanent servitude. "Go to hell," Adam spat. The guards tightened their grip, forcing him lower. The official gave a thin, humorless smile. "Your Earth bravado is noted, but your death would breach the non-aggression accord between our species. The colonies your kind built on Proxima Centauri would be left exposed." The blood drained from Adam's face. This wasn't just about him anymore. They were leveraging entire human settlements as pawns. "There is," said a new voice from the shadows, "perhaps a third option." The words rolled across the chamber like a melody wrapped in command. The guards stiffened. Even the official bowed his head as a tall figure stepped forward. Her skin shimmered with a faint silver hue, setting her apart from the turquoise and blue tones of the others. General Val Ara. Adam recognized the name instantly. The Dominion's legendary strategist, the one who'd outmaneuvered Earth's fleets during the Orion conflict. Her white hair was drawn back tightly, emphasizing her sharp, angular face. The dark military uniform she wore bore the insignia of power. "General," the official stammered, "this is highly irregular." "I am invoking the right of clemency," she interrupted. Her gaze never left Adam's face. "Under Altarian law, I claim this human." "Claim?" Adam managed. "What the hell does that mean?" "It means," she said evenly, "I will take responsibility for you, through formal union." He blinked. "You're saying you want to marry me?" "I am offering you life instead of death, Specialist Steele." "Refuse, and you will be executed before dawn. Accept, and you will live under my protection. The choice is yours." Adam stared at her, his mind reeling. This woman, this alien, was at least 3 decades older than him, maybe more by human reckoning. Her voice carried command but no warmth. It felt less like mercy and more like a sentence wrapped in ceremony. "What kind of marriage?" he asked finally, voice rough. "A legal one," she replied. "You would reside in my household. You would not be caged, but you would not leave this world either." "And what do you gain from this?" Her silver blue eyes flickered with something unreadable. "That is not your concern." The official cleared his throat impatiently. "The human must decide now." Adam's mind ran through the options. None good. He thought of Earth, of his crew, of his family who would never know what became of him. He wasn't ready to die, not like this. "Fine," he said bitterly. "I'll do it." "Then it is sealed," Val Ara declared. "Release him. He is under my protection." The guards deactivated the cuffs. Adam rubbed his wrists, glaring at her. She looked at him without emotion. To her, this was protocol. To him, It was a cage wrapped in silk. "Come," she said, turning sharply. "We leave for my estate." Adam followed, defeated, but not broken. He might have been forced into marriage with an alien war hero 33 years his senior, but he wasn't giving her the satisfaction of seeing him break. He didn't yet realize that this strange alliance, born from desperation and diplomacy, would soon reshape both their lives in ways neither species could have predicted. The journey to General Val Ara's estate took Adam far from the gleaming spires of the Altarian capital. The transport skimmed over landscapes that looked like dreams sculpted from metal and glass, vast forests of silver-barked trees whose leaves shimmered with bioluminescent veins. The world outside was alive, alien, and utterly indifferent to him. He sat in silence across from Val Ara, who hadn't spoken since they left the detention chamber. Her expression remained unreadable, her posture perfectly straight. Even without the uniform's authority, she radiated command. Adam found it impossible to tell if she was cold or simply trained to appear that way. When the transport finally descended, he expected a fortress, something befitting a high-ranking general. Instead, her residence was carved into the side of a mountain cliff, half stone, half translucent crystal that caught the setting sun and threw fractured light across the valley below. It was breathtaking and strangely lonely. "This will be your home," she said, stepping out and motioning for him to follow. "You will find the quarters sufficient for human comfort." Inside, the design was minimalist. Curved walls, smooth surfaces, furniture that seemed to grow naturally from the floor. Plants with glowing stems were woven into the architecture, their faint light pulsing like heartbeats. "Where's your staff?" Adam asked. "Guards? Assistants? Someone to serve the legendary general?" "I have none," she said without turning. "I prefer solitude." He frowned. A general living alone in the wilderness doesn't exactly scream normal. Her silver blue eyes flashed briefly. "Be careful, human. You're here because I chose to save your life. That does not entitle you to question mine." She led him down a narrow corridor to a room sized perfectly for him, a bed that matched human proportions, adjustable environmental controls, even a desk and screen console adapted to Earth languages. Someone had clearly gone to great lengths to prepare for a human occupant. "Your quarters," Val Ara said. "You'll find nourishment in the common area. I've calibrated the nutrition systems for human biology." "How thoughtful," Adam muttered. "Keeping your pet comfortable, are we?" Her expression didn't change, but for a heartbeat something flickered, something almost human, before the mask returned. "Rest. Tomorrow, we define the parameters of our arrangement." She left him standing alone in the quiet room. Hours later, Adam sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the faint glow of the alien night through the crystal walls. The silence pressed on him. His instincts screamed to escape, even though logic told him the odds were slim. Still, he had to try. He waited until the house was dark, then slipped into the corridor. The doors weren't locked, a surprise, but that only made him more suspicious. He moved quietly, scanning for surveillance nodes, sensors, or guard drones. There were none. Either she truly lived alone, or she didn't need protection. He passed through a study lined with holographic projections of battle simulations and strategic maps. Val Ara sat there, back to him, staring at the shifting lights. Her face in that moment wasn't cold. It was weary. Heavy with the kind of fatigue that doesn't come from battle, but from years of isolation. Adam stepped back before she noticed and continued exploring. He soon found a chamber filled with objects that made him stop in his tracks. Earth relics, books printed on paper, an old metal compass, vinyl records, a framed photograph of a human city. "What are you doing with these?" he whispered to himself. He didn't have time to wonder. The night outside called to him, cold, vast, and filled with the promise of freedom. He reached the back exit, found it unsealed, and slipped out into the strange glow of two Altarian moons. The air hit him like ice, sharp and thin. The ground glittered beneath his boots, and for a moment he thought he was free, until the surface began to shift. "What the—" The soil liquefied around his feet, clinging like quicksand. The more he struggled, the tighter it held. Within seconds, he was trapped up to his knees. "The reactive soil responds to unfamiliar biology," came Val Ara's voice from behind him. He turned, heart sinking. She stood a few meters away, dressed not in armor, but in a simple gray robe, her silver hair loose around her shoulders. Without the uniform, she looked less like a warlord and more like a woman burdened by too many secrets. "Did you really think I wouldn't anticipate an escape attempt?" she asked calmly. "Worth a shot," Adam muttered, trying to tug free. She stepped lightly across the living terrain, which hardened beneath her every stride. Reaching out, she offered a hand. "Take it before the cold does worse than restrain you." Her hand was warm, almost hot. She pulled him free with startling ease. "Why aren't you angry?" he asked as they walked back toward the house. "Anger is inefficient," she replied simply. "You behaved as any captive would." Back inside, she guided him toward a chamber where a low heating core glowed softly. "Sit," she ordered. "Your physiology isn't adapted for this climate." Too cold to argue, Adam obeyed. She handed him a cup of steaming liquid that smelled faintly of cinnamon and something floral. "What is this?" he asked. "Heat infusion. It will restore balance." He took a cautious sip. Sweet, spicy, and unexpectedly pleasant. After a long silence, he said quietly, "Why do you live out here? Alone?" She didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice had softened. "Because isolation keeps others safe. From me, and from what I represent." For the first time, Adam sensed there was more to General Val Ara than the cold soldier who had saved and imprisoned him. The copper-tinted dawn of Altar 4 slipped through the crystal walls of Adam's quarters, filling the room with an almost metallic glow. He had barely slept. Each time he closed his eyes, fragments of the night replayed, the way the ground had turned against him, the strange warmth of Val Ara's hand, and her quiet admission that she lived in isolation because others feared her. Fear. That word lingered in his mind. What could make a powerful general so feared among her own people? He found her in the courtyard, moving through a series of martial forms, slow, deliberate, yet fluid as a river. Without the armor and harsh lines of command, she looked different. Almost human. "You slept poorly," she said without turning. Adam blinked. "How could you possibly tell?" "Your pupils are dilated. Blood flow under your eyes indicates fatigue. Human physiology is transparent." He huffed a small laugh. "So, you've studied us." "I have studied many species," she said, finishing a final graceful motion before turning to face him. "Understanding others is essential to leadership. And what have you learned about humans?" Her silvery gaze swept over him, sharp and assessing. "That your species is full of contradictions. Fragile, yet capable of astonishing endurance. Reckless, yet strangely innovative. Emotionally unstable, but occasionally brilliant." Adam tilted his head. "Is that a compliment or a post-mortem?" "An observation." She gestured toward a low table where breakfast had been set, a mixture of colorful, translucent fruits and a soft, bread-like grain that gave off a pleasant aroma. "Join me." They ate in near silence, the only sounds the faint hum of alien machinery and the wind whispering through the glass walls. When they finished, Val Ara set her utensils aside. I have a proposal, she said. Adam smirked. Another marriage offer? For the first time, he saw the ghost of a smile tug at her lips. An exchange, not a union. I will teach you what you need to survive here, our laws, customs, defenses, and social expectations. In return, you will share your knowledge of human strategy and culture. He frowned. Why would you want that? Your people already outmatch ours in every category that matters. Technology is not everything, she replied evenly. During the Orion conflict, Earth's forces were surrounded, outnumbered, and under-equipped. Yet you resisted for months, longer than logic predicted. I wish to understand how Adam studied her for a moment. You want to know how we think? Yes, because one day, failing to understand humanity could cost the Dominion far more than they realize. There it was again, that flicker of something beyond mere curiosity. He leaned back. What's the catch? No catch, she said. Only mutual survival. You are here indefinitely. You may as well learn to exist beyond resentment. Fine, he said finally. But I have conditions. First, I want to contact Earth, to tell them I'm alive. Impossible. Her tone was final. All transmissions are monitored. If they know you survived, both of us would be compromised. Adam crossed his arms. Then I want freedom to move around the property without the ground trying to eat me. That can be arranged, she said, activating a small holographic panel on her wrist. Your biological pattern will be added to the perimeter system. The soil will no longer react to you. And one more thing, he said, leaning forward. I want the truth. Why did you really marry me? Her expression tightened. That is not part of our exchange. Then no deal. For a long moment they stared at each other, soldier and general, prisoner and warden. Finally she inclined her head. One truth for one truth. You first, or me? You first, Adam said. She folded her hands. I claimed you because I needed a human perspective unfiltered by Dominion intelligence. The High Council misinterprets your species. Their assumptions could lead to unnecessary conflict. I wanted first-hand understanding. He gave a humorless laugh. So you used me as a case study. As a student, she corrected. Not a subject. Fine. My truth then, Adam said. I accepted because I wasn't ready to die. Simple as that. She nodded slowly. Honesty. Unexpected. Yeah, well, I'm not exactly the obedient type, he said with a faint grin. Val Ara rose, her usual composure returning. Then let us begin, husband. Lesson 1. The Living Defenses of Altar 4. She led him into a chamber whose walls came alive with holographic maps and flowing diagrams. Over the next several hours, she demonstrated how the planet's ecosystem itself served as both architecture and weapon, how its reactive soil, bioluminescent flora, and atmospheric grids formed a synchronized defense network. In return, Adam explained the human mosquito strategy, how Earth used thousands of small drones during the Orion War to bypass Altarian blockades. Inefficient, she commented. Effective, he countered. She regarded him with a small, knowing smile. Desperation breeds creativity. Another contradiction I admire. By the time the lesson ended, the tension between them had softened into something neither of them could define. Mutual curiosity. Perhaps even respect. As she left the room, she said quietly, In this house, you may call me Val Ara. Not General. It was a small concession, but one that made the walls around them feel just a little less like a prison. 5 days had passed since Adam and Val Ara began their uneasy lessons. The walls that once felt like a prison had turned into classrooms, each filled with strange technology and stranger truths. They debated, argued, and sometimes laughed, though neither would ever admit it aloud. On the 6th morning, Val Ara interrupted their usual routine. "The Lunar Convergence Festival begins tomorrow," she said while reviewing tactical maps. "As my consort, you are required to attend." Adam looked up. "Festival? I thought you lived in self-imposed exile. Didn't strike me as the party type." "It is not a celebration," she corrected sharply. "It is a sacred observance. When our 3 moons align, all Altarians of rank must present themselves. Attendance is not optional." He gave a resigned sigh. "Fine. What do I need to know so I don't accidentally start a galactic incident?" Her expression softened slightly. "Much. You will begin cultural instruction immediately." That afternoon, Val Ara led him into a chamber lined with softly glowing panels. Altarian garments hung suspended in fields of light, robes, tunics, and ceremonial armor, each alive with subtle color shifts. "You will need proper attire," she said, activating a scanning beam that passed over him from head to toe. While she adjusted the interface, something on a shelf caught Adam's eye. A small metallic object, circular and unmistakably human. He stepped closer. "Is that a pocket watch?" Val Ara froze for a fraction of a second, barely noticeable, but enough. "It is," she said evenly, "an artifact from Earth." He picked it up carefully. The metal was scratched but intact, its face still ticking faintly. When he opened it, an inscription gleamed inside. "To Jonathan Steele, for valor beyond duty. Earth Defense Force, 2187. Adam's pulse spiked. This belonged to my grandfather." He looked up at her, stunned. "How the hell do you have it?" For the first time since he'd met her, Val Ara's composure faltered. Her silver-blue eyes widened just slightly. "You are Jonathan Steele's descendant?" "Yes," Adam said, his voice sharp. "He vanished during a recon mission near this system 30 years ago. His ship was declared lost." Val Ara turned away, pressing her palm to a nearby wall panel. The surface shimmered, revealing a hidden alcove. Inside lay dozens of Earth artifacts, books, medals, photographs, even a tattered Earth flag sealed behind glass. 30 years ago," she said quietly, "I commanded a border patrol that intercepted a damaged Earth vessel. The pilot was wounded but alive. Dominion law required I execute him as an intruder." She looked back at Adam. "I did not." Adam felt as if the ground had shifted beneath him. "You saved him." "Yes. I treated his injuries here. He remained on Altar 4 for nearly a year before I arranged his return in secret." She reached into the alcove and withdrew a faded photograph. In it, a much younger Val Ara stood beside a human man Adam recognized immediately from old family portraits. His grandfather. "He gave me that watch before he left," she said softly. "A symbol of gratitude." Adam's mind raced. "You knew who I was the moment I was captured." "I suspected," she admitted. "When I saw your name, I confirmed it with a genetic scan. Saving you was the only way to repay a debt I have carried for decades." A heavy silence filled the room. "My grandfather never spoke of what happened during that lost year," Adam murmured. "My father always said he came back different, calmer, more open to the idea that not all aliens were enemies." "He was a remarkable man," Val Ara said, her voice thick with something that sounded almost like sorrow. "He taught me that compassion and logic can coexist. That mercy is not weakness." There was a long pause. Adam's gaze moved from the photograph to her face. "Were you and he—" Her skin deepened in color, a faint, shimmering blush. Our species are biologically compatible in certain ways, but such connections are forbidden by Dominion law. The implication hung in the air between them, heavy and unspoken. Adam swallowed hard. The woman before him, the same one who had saved his life, commanded wars, and terrified an empire, had also shared something deeply human with his own bloodline. "That's why you live alone," he said slowly. "Not because they fear you, but because you broke their code." Her eyes met his. "Perhaps." He turned the pocket watch over in his hands, the ticking sound impossibly loud in the quiet room. "Then I guess I owe you my life twice over," he said finally. Val Ara's lips curved into a faint, almost wistful smile. "Perhaps fate owes us both more than we understand." Outside, the copper-hued sky darkened as the first of Alter 4's 3 moons began its slow ascent. The next night would bring the convergence, a ritual of light, unity, and, as Adam would soon learn, a revelation far more intimate than either of them expected. The night of the lunar convergence came draped in copper and violet light. 3 moons hung in perfect alignment above the Altarian capital, their combined glow turning the air into something almost tangible, charged, humming, alive. Adam adjusted the collar of his ceremonial attire, an iridescent blue suit Val Ara had prepared for him. Its fabric shimmered like liquid metal, shifting colors with each movement. Across from him, Val Ara stood resplendent in a formal gown of deep indigo threaded with silver, her white hair woven into a crown-like braid. "You look intimidating," Adam said, trying for humor but sounding more nervous than he intended. She glanced at him, a hint of amusement ghosting across her features. "That is the desired effect." They traveled by aircar to the Grand Plaza at the heart of the city. Thousands of Altarians filled the vast space, arranged in precise formations. The sound of resonant instruments, part wind, part vibration, echoed through the copper-hued night. Everywhere Adam looked, eyes followed him. Whispers rippled through the crowd like wind through glass reeds. Humans were rare enough here. A human husband to a decorated general was unthinkable. "Stay close," Val Ara murmured, "and speak only when addressed." Altarians value composure. "Right," Adam muttered. "No jokes, no handshakes, no dancing with strangers. Especially not that last one." They descended from the transport to immediate attention. Among those waiting was Administrator Krell, his expression sharp and predatory. "General Val Ara," he greeted, bowing slightly. "Your presence honors the Dominion. And your companion, how unprecedented, husband," Val Ara corrected firmly, taking Adam's arm with deliberate formality. "Recognized under ancient law." Krell's thin smile didn't reach his eyes. "Of course. Ancient law does seem to favor you lately." She didn't dignify the jab with a reply. Instead, she guided Adam toward the main square, where 3 pillars of light, silver, copper, and deep amethyst, rose from the ground to form a luminous triangle in the sky. "The first alignment begins," she whispered. "Follow my movements when the signal sounds." Music swelled, haunting, rhythmic, pulsing in time with the planetary alignment. Couples stepped into the illuminated circle at the plaza's center, their movements deliberate and synchronized, a fusion of dance and ritual. "Is this the famous Bond dance?" Adam asked under his breath. "Yes," she said. "It honors union, in all forms, spiritual, cosmic, and physical." He blinked. "You left out that last part during training." "I did," she said without apology. "Now, follow my lead." Her hands met his, cool at first, then warming as the music built. They began to move in unison, guided by a rhythm that seemed to echo from the ground itself. The steps were simple, but demanded closeness. Every shift brought them nearer, their movements weaving together like mirrored reflections. As they danced, something strange began to happen. The air around them shimmered, and the beams of light above pulsed faster. Each time their hands touched, Adam felt a subtle charge, like static electricity skating across his skin. "What's happening?" he whispered. "The convergence amplifies bioenergetic resonance," Val-Ara replied, her voice low. "It connects partners on a molecular level. It's part of the ritual Adam's heart hammered." "You mean this dance literally links people?" "In rare cases," she said, eyes flickering up to meet his. "When compatibility exists." Their movements grew more intricate. The distance between them vanished until her breath mingled with his. The air seemed alive with unseen current, the same magnetic force that drew moons together now pulling them into each other's orbit. He hadn't expected to feel this. Not attraction exactly, but something deeper, a synchronization of thought and motion, as if her pulse had aligned with his own. "Val," he began, unsure what he meant to say. "The ritual need not be completed," she said softly, reading his hesitation. "We may stop at any time." Adam looked around. Other couples had already stepped away into secluded alcoves, following the next stage of the ceremony. He knew withdrawing would draw suspicion. But more than that, he realized with unsettling clarity, he didn't want to stop. "What if I don't want to?" he asked quietly. Her eyes widened, their silver deepening to blue. "Then we proceed." Together, their movements slowed, became more intimate, synchronized beyond thought. The world around them disappeared, replaced by the rhythm of shared breath and light. The energy built until it felt like a heartbeat surrounding them both. When the music reached its crescendo, Val-Ara's hand brushed against his chest. The shock that passed between them was almost electric, a living connection that flared bright and then faded into calm warmth. The ritual ended. But the bond it left behind didn't. They stepped out of the circle, and Adam saw Krell watching them from across the plaza, his face tight with restrained fury. "Let him stare," Adam muttered under his breath. Val-Ara's lips curved slightly. "He will do more than that. Be ready." As they turned to leave, the crowd parted before them, whispers trailing in their wake. Somewhere above, the three moons began their slow separation, but Adam knew that whatever had joined him and Val-Ara tonight would not fade so easily. When Adam woke, the alien sun was already cresting the horizon, spilling copper light across the room. For a few blissful seconds, he forgot where he was, forgot the dance, the festival, and the way Val-Ara's hand had felt against his. Then he noticed the faint silvery markings trailing up his forearm, delicate and pulsing softly beneath the skin. "What the?" he murmured. Val-Ara stirred beside him, her white hair loose against the pillow. For the first time, her usual mask of command was gone. She looked younger, almost human in her vulnerability. "You are staring," she said without opening her eyes. "Just processing," Adam replied. "These marks, what are they?" She sat up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "A resonance pattern. The convergence bond occasionally leaves a trace when two life forms are compatible. It is exceedingly rare between species." He turned his arm, fascinated. "So it's not dangerous?" "No. But it is significant. It means the energy recognized something real." Her voice softened, but before Adam could respond, an urgent chime filled the air. Val-Ara was on her feet instantly, the warmth between them vanishing as she tapped her wrist console. "General Val-Ara," came a voice over the comms. "You are ordered to appear before the High Council immediately. Bring the human." Her expression hardened. "Understood." She turned to Adam. Get dressed. Whatever happens next, stay silent unless I tell you otherwise. The journey to Central Command was silent and tense. Security drones flanked their transport as it descended into the colossal spire that housed the Dominion's most powerful leaders. Inside, the air felt heavy with judgment. The council chamber was semicircular, with tiers of elevated seats glowing faintly in the dim light. Administrator Krell stood before them, his face composed, but his eyes gleaming with triumph. "General," he said smoothly, "how generous of you to arrive, and with your human consort, no less." "Husband," Val Ara corrected. "Indeed," Krell said. "The Council finds your union curious, especially given your history with other humans." Adam's gut tightened. Krell was baiting her. Krell gestured, and a holographic display appeared, showing images of Earth artifacts recovered from Val Ara's estate. Books, photos, medals, and finally, the pocket watch. "Evidence," he declared, "that General Val Ara has long harbored sympathies for an inferior species. I submit she has been compromised, emotionally and strategically." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "She even concealed her connection to a human officer 30 years ago," Krell continued. "Jonathan Steele. Her actions during the Orion conflict were tainted by human influence. She allowed them to survive." "That's enough," Val Ara snapped, but Krell only smiled. "I believe this current bond with the prisoner proves contamination. Last night's convergence confirmed it. Energy readings indicate a cross-species resonance. Proof of corruption